class. So basically, we go straight to our lecture. So today's we are going to see calculations on what we have learned last week, because we have seen the diagram, the way that I explained. So basically, I hope that you understand, because you never asked me any question like just now. I asked you. So basically, I assume that all of you understand, if not 100%, but at least 90%. Those who think that you only understood up to 50% or less, so this is your choice, because you never asked me. So today's lecture, we are going to see the calculation to supplement the diagrams that I have given you last week. So we try to understand this. If you have done a little bit of a review, so basically you should be able to see what we are going to discuss today. So basically, all of the mortgage calculation in Malaysia, regardless whether conventional or Islamic, so basically we based on the constant payment mortgage. So like I said, the reason why they do this, because of the market scenario, which need both types of system should go together. So that means the commercial system need to have the Islamic finance, and then the Islamic finance also need to have the commercial system. So that's why we use constant payment mortgage as a base for the calculations of any mortgages that are available in the market. So in order to understand the constant payment mortgage, so we'll try to see this first. Example. So a total sum of 100,000 was approved under the constant payment mortgage for the purchase of a house with a fixed interest rate of 12% for a period of 25 years. So forget about the amount of loan, the interest rate, and the number of years. This is for the purpose of discussion only. In actual fact, or in a present market situation, so basically the interest rate is very low, which is about 3%. And the period of loans is usually up to 35 years. And a total sums, that means the value of the house that we normally purchase for medium cost is about 300,000. And then for high-end product, usually around 750 to 800,000 and above. So for the sake of calculation, like I said, I always give you something simple, although it is not materialized at the present date. But the thing is, whatever we have here, if for the purpose of learning, and then from the learning that we have, the principle must be correct. So that means you have to understand the principle behind it, regardless how much that you are going to apply it later on. So basically, based on the problem I'm giving here, 100,000, 12%, and 25 years. That's the key things that you have to remember. So number one, calculate the total annual repayment on interest rates and capital. So what the question asks us to do is to calculate. So this is calculation. It's straightforward. But if the question asks you to calculate and explain the total annual repayment on interest rate and capital, so basically you have to calculate as well as you have to explain. If you calculate without explanation, you won't get full mark for this kind of question, for example. So the same thing like the test that they discuss. If you write something, the concept, even the concept you don't understand. That's why I really, frustrated. when I ask you the concept, we have discussed this before, the concept, but you still did not answer what, you don't understand what does it mean by concept. It's very bad. You cannot even differentiate between the concept and operation. I'm not going to explain again because I already explained before. But the answer that you have given me proves that you did not follow the lecture, you did not follow the tutorial, you did not do the tutorial question. This is very bad for you. So calculate the total annual repayment on interest rates and capital. That's number one. Number two, calculate the total interest rate for the first year and 10 years. That means how much is the interest for the first year, and then how much is the interest in the 10 years. So we have to calculate this. And calculate the amount of capital that must be paid for the first and 10th year. So in this case, we have to calculate the capital only, but not the interest. So basically, like I said before, no matter any mortgage that we use, so the concepts, the mortgage concept is basically the same, which is the repayments of the capital and interest, or the repayment of the capital and profit for Islamic finance. So that is the concept. Next time I ask you the concept, you give me whatever, it seems like you did never studied before, and then when it comes to the question on the spot, so you just refer to my lecture notes, so without understanding what the question asks you, you just rewrite whatever the lecture notes. You did not answer the question. I cannot give you marks. Because it shows that you did not understand. So now we go back to this. So calculate the total annual repayment and interest. So this one, number one, we need to calculate the annual repayments. That means the fixed amount that we are going to pay on yearly basis or monthly basis, and the interest rate. And then number two, calculate the total interest rate for the first year and 10 years. And then number three, calculate the amount of capital that must be paid for the first and 10th year. And another thing I would like to tell you here, whenever the question asks you to do or to answer some things that you need to, to answer, do not try to offer more than what the question asks you to do. For example, if the instruction asks you answer 2 questions only, and then you just answer 2 questions only. Do not try to answer 3 questions, because we'll never try to mark the 3rd question. Even if the 3rd question is better than the 2nd question, we will never mark. We will take only the first 2. So do not waste your time. But if the question asks you, for example, to give 3 things, for example, direct question, explain 3 factors, which is usually not my type of question. But for example, only explain or briefly, or explain in detail 3 factors that blah 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 blah. Just go ahead and do it by providing 3 factors only. Do not waste your time to go to 10 factors, because you won't get any marks for the next 7 factors. It's better for you to answer the other section that you think you are not satisfied with, rather than to waste your time to give more factors that you won't get anything. Don't waste your time. So I'm talking this even not in the lecture. So whatever I can remember, I just throw it out here. Otherwise, I tend to forget later on. So basically, for the mortgage repayment and the CPM, there are two elements in the construction of the formula. Number one, the benefit rate received on the remaining capital, which is also called the expected remunerative rates. So that means the rate of interest that the banks normally charge for any mortgage. So for the capital that we normally have to pay, because the capital is basically the amounts that the financial institution will normally approve whenever we apply for the housing loan. So basically, that capital we must pay together with the interest rate charged by the financial institution, or the profit rate that are charged by Islamic finance or Islamic institutions. So that's number one. The benefit rate received, we must pay either the interest or profit, and then the repayment of capital over the period of charge. So the capital that we have to pay back, if you borrow 200,000, that means we have to pay 200,000, not even a single cent less than 200,000. So for example here, the annual sinking fund to replace the capital invested during the period of charge. So that means we need to use the formula of annual sinking fund or annuity to replace the capital invested throughout the mortgage period. So the formula for a total annual payment, or sometimes it is called annual equivalent, on the amounts of principal over capital for the duration of the loan is I plus S, or I plus sinking fund. So where sinking fund, if you can recall the formula under valuation mathematics, I divided by A minus 1, where A is the amount of 1 ringgit, not the amount of 1 ringgit per annum. This is the amount of 1 ringgit. The amount of 1 ringgit per annum will become years purchase already. So I divided by A minus 1, where the amount of ringgit equal to 1 plus I, the power of n. So the calculations is basically based on the formula for purchasing annuity of 1 ringgit, which is I plus sinking fund, or I plus S, like given here. So I plus sinking fund. So the formula for the value of 1 ringgit is 1 divided by I plus sinking fund, or I minus PB of 1 ringgit divided by I. So based on this formula, we try to calculate whatever the question asks you to do. Number one, the question asks us to calculate the annual payment. So the annual payments will be, we know that the total value of the loan is 100,000. Therefore, we multiply by the annuity 1 ringgit we'll purchase for the whole mortgage period, which is 25 years, at 12%, which is 0.1275. Then the annual payment is 12,750. So this is the amounts that we have to pay on annual basis whenever we get the loans of 100,000 for the period of 25 years at the interest rate of 12% per annum. So because we use the constant payment mortgage, so basically 12,750 per year will be applied throughout the mortgage period. So this is the annual payment. And the question number 2 is when the interest rate in the first year is added directly on the capital borrowed. So basically, in the first year we have 100,000 capital. That means we borrow 100,000. So that means the capital outstanding in the first year will be 100,000. And then the interest rate charge as given under the loan is 12% per annum. So basically 12% multiplied by the outstanding principal in the first year, which is 100,000. So basically we have 12,000 interest rate in the first year. So basically from 100,000 in the first year, we paid 12,750. So 12,000 is basically 12,000 basically goes to the interest. So what it means here, because 12,000 is interest, that means only the balance of 750 is basically the amounts that we need or the amount that is considered as capital payment. So in other words, 750 only will be amortized in year 1. So basically we pay a lot of interest in year 1 and only 750 is considered as capital. So as the amount payable is 12,750, the amount of capital paid is 12,750 minus 12,000 interest. So basically the balance 750 is for paying the outstanding capital in the first year. So that's why I always stress that if you purchase a house, for example, so basically if you try to sell within 2 or 3 years time, so basically we cannot make any profit. Under normal market circumstances, we cannot make any profit because for the first 3 or 4 years, we paid very high interest rate. So it's not significant at all in terms of payments for a capital during the first few years. Unless if the price increase very fast, like we have like what happened in 2011 to 2015. So the price increased ridiculously high. And then if the thing happened that way, so basically we can actually sell the units because we know that we can make profit. But under normal market circumstances, where the increase is very low, so basically we have to come up with, number one is the repayment penalty that we have to pay the financial institution. But some banks, they have abolished this kind of penalty. But most banks still impose the prepayment penalty that we have to pay. So prepayment penalty refer to the amounts of penalty that we have to pay to the financial institution as a result of default or breach, because we promised the financial institution to pay back for the next 25 years, for example. Under this case, and then we stop. We want to sell the property in year 3. So basically, we did not keep our promise to pay prepayment penalty. So that's number 1. Number 2, it will involve stamp duty and lawyer fees. And number 3, it will also involve variation fee, etc. So basically, all of these costs, the owner or the seller have to pay if they sell in the first 3 years. So CGST is okay now, at least for the time being. But under normal market circumstances, where before we change the CKST or CGST capital gains tax, so basically we have to pay more even because of the profit that we made for the first 3 years. So basically, based on that, all the costs will be higher than the profit. The profit I mean here is the price appreciation. That means value appreciate not that much for the first 3 years, and the cost that we have to pay could be higher than the profit that we made. In other words, we do not make any profit after we deduct all the costs. So this is not advisable to sell the unit for the first few years of the mortgage period. But to be safe, we can sell about half of the mortgage period. For example, if the total period is 25 years, so we can sell at least after the minimum around 10 years. Then for sure we can make profit. That's why under valuation theory, we always heard that real estate is a good hedge against inflation. Because if inflation increase, that means the price of real estate will also increase. That's a good hedge against inflation, but not like stock market. A good hedge against inflation, very short time. If we are good investors, so basically we try to study properly about the market performance, as well as the prospects of the companies that we are thinking to invest. So basically, we can make money within a short period of time. But if we use a wrong interpretation, especially when we deal with the so-called intangible value of the stocks that we are trying to invest, so we might lose our money as quickly as we gain our money if we use the correct interpretation or analysis. So basically, it's not the same like property, because property, like I said, it's a good hedge against inflation. So basically, it takes a longer period in order to get a return from a property. Unless if the market always be like 2011, 2015 price increase. So basically, only 750 ringgit per year out of 12,750 that will be used to deduct the outstanding capital. So now the total interest rate at 10 years depends on the balance of capital at the beginnings of the 10th. That means after 9th annual payment. So basically, the figure that we are supposed to get here should come from the figure that we should get from year 9. So the amount of 1 ringgit per annum will actually be used for this calculation. So we use 750 as the capital, the first capital that we are going to pay for this mortgage. And then basically we multiply by the amount of 1 ringgit per annum for 9 years at 12%, which is 14,7757. So the total capital payments will be 11,880 at the end of year 9. So basically we pay this 11,080. So we must understand that this is the total payments. And then from the balance of capital, which is 100,000. So if we deduct 11,080 for the figure that we obtained in year 9 to represent the capital at the beginning of year 10. So basically the total balance is 88,920. So out of this, we have to pay interest as the second example just now. So because the interest is 12%, so we multiply by 88,920. So basically the interest that we have to pay is 10,670. And the capital paid in year 10 is 12,750, which is the amounts, the fixed amount that we are supposed to pay. And we deduct the interest, which is 10,670. So the balance is 2,080 ringgit. So we use the formula of amounts of 1 ringgit per annum here. This is the year's purchase. So the amounts of 1 ringgit per annum, the formula is A minus 1 divided by I, where A is 1 plus I the power of n, minus 1 divided by I. So we should be able to get the amount of 1 ringgit per annum. So based on that calculation, now we go to the figures that we should have throughout the mortgage period. So try to imagine the diagram that we have learned before. If you can remember the diagram, so basically you can also follow the calculation that we are going to discuss here. But if you cannot remember the diagram before, so basically, like I said just now, you are not helping yourself. So please, during tutorial, whenever I call your name, whether you can answer or not, it's different things, but I always stress that you better prepare the answer. There is no right or wrong. And then even if you give me a wrong answer, I will be happy all the way because I can make correction in order to help you. But if you do not answer at all, please do not come to the tutorial because I'll feel very, very upset. Whenever I call your name, you just keep quiet. Maybe you did not prepare the answer, or maybe because you're sleeping, or maybe because you are cheating your own self on the assumption that whenever your name is there, so the lecturer will see your name there, So basically, in the tutorial. So don't do like that. I would rather ask you to go, do not join the tutorial rather than to waste your own time by cheating your own self, because there's nothing much you learn. Better for you to go away and do whatever you are supposed to do. At least you can fulfill your own time to do something else rather than to waste your time during tutorial. So please, next time, because last week, not last tutorial, last two tutorials, when I call your name, you keep quiet. So basically, it won't carry good name for you. Okay, so now we go back to the constant payment mortgage. So in year one, we have 100,000 capital outstanding. So like I said before, like we have discussed before, we use the formula to calculate the annual payments. So once we get the annual payment, which is 12,750, so basically we start to calculate the interest, which is 12% in the first year. Not only in the first year, 12% throughout the mortgage period, but in the first year, when we use 12% interest, so basically we have to pay 12,000 ringgit here, which is 12% of 100,000. So we have to pay 12,000 ringgit here, and then like we have seen before, so the balance will be 750 after we deduct 12,000 from 12,750. So basically the balance of 750 ringgit will represent the capitals that are being amortized from time to time. So the capital that is being amortized in year one is 750 ringgit, because 12,000 will go for the interest. So when it comes to year two, because we only pay 750,000 for the loan amortization, therefore the balance is 99,250 ringgit, which is basically very high, because we paid 12,750, but we still have the outstanding principal of 99,250 ringgit. And then we impose the interest rate again on the capital outstandings at the rate of interest of 12%. So basically, the interest that we are supposed to pay in year two is 11,910, and then the balance after we deduct from 12,750 is 850 ringgit. So this 840 ringgit is the amounts that we use to amortize the capital outstanding. So basically, the process will continue from first year up to 25 year, because the mortgage period is 35 years. So basically the process from year two, we deduct all the loans that are being amortized on yearly basis, and then towards the end, we will see that the figure here, the outstanding principal in year 25, should equal to the amount of loan that is being amortized. So that means 11,383.93 should equal to 11,383.93. So that means there will be no outstanding principal in year 26. So if you have these two things correct, that means we are doing the correct calculation. So based on that, the annual payment is 12,750. So the total in year, after we completed the last payment in year 25 is 318,749.92. Basically 319,000 is the total payments that we paid for the 100,000 that we borrowed from financial institution at the interest rate of 12%. So basically the bank is making about 218,749 through interest only. So this is the amounts of money that the bank paid, the bank made. That's why the banks is, most of the banks are big reluctant to actually let the purchaser goes at the beginnings of the mortgage period, because they know that better to keep the customer or the purchasers until the end of the mortgage period, because they know that how much they will make. So if we change our mind and we sell the units in year 3, for example, like we discussed before, so basically the bank won't make much money too. That's why they impose the prepayment penalty. So the interest that we will pay here is 219,000 as compared to the amount of loans or the capital that we borrowed from the financial institution, which is 400,000. So the bank will make about 218,000. So we can compare this calculation like the question that we asked before. For example, here, what is the annual payment? So we know 12,750. So did we use this as the annual payment for the constant payment mortgage throughout the mortgage period? So in year 10, this one in still in year first year. So basically 12,750. So in our calculation also, we got the same answer. And question 3, the total interest rate at 10 years depends on the balance of capital at the beginning of year 9. Beginning of the 10th, that means at the end of 9th year annual payment. So we have the figures here, 11,080, and then we have the interest here, 10,670, and then the capital we paid 2,080. So now if you look at year 9, so we still pay 12,750. So basically we have to pay interest 10,893, and then the capital that we try to amortize here is only 1,856. So the balance in year 9 is 19,775. So in year 10 we have 88,918 capital outstanding, where the interest is 10,670, and the capitals that we are amortizing is 2,080. So we check here. So basically the capital paid is 2,080, and the interest rate is 10,670, and the total balance is 88,920. 88,920. So the figure that we have is slightly different because of the rounded figure. So even here, if you want to round the figure, so basically it will become 88,920. So this is how it works. So you can use a table like this to calculate, or you can use the formula like I've given here in order to calculate the capitals, the outstanding capital, and the interest rate that we are supposed to pay in any particular year. So that's why I don't like if you use the financial calculator, because financial calculator will only give you these things. You just key in the number of years, the loan in terms of value, that how much you are getting from the financial institution, and the interest rate. So we should be able to get all these figures. But that one is only for capital and for constant payment mortgage. Because the financial calculator cannot calculate the rest of the mortgages that we have learned. So basically, we use Excel to calculate. And then if you're familiar with these, so basically will help you a lot in your future investment. So whenever you want to purchase a unit, regardless whether residential or any other type of properties, if you use this kind of analysis, so basically you should be able to come up with your final result, whether the project is good or not. That means the unit you are considering to purchase is good or not. And then it will also help you in your real life situation as a professional, especially when you become the real estate consultant. That means if you venture into research and consultancy, so basically it will help you a lot in order to assess the market situation as well as the projects, because some client, they will ask you to assess what is going to happen if they want to invest in, for example, industrial properties in Klang Valley or in any major industrial area in Malaysia. So you can use the mortgage. For example, if the client asks you to use only 70% from the financial institution through borrowing, and the rest or the balance 30% that will come out from the company's own money. That means their own pocket monies, you will use 30% in order to invest. So they ask you to calculate. So this is the best way to do it. And then compare with the income flow that you should receive. Because the one that you learn when you were in the second year about the cash flow, I'm not sure whether you learn or not, but Dr. Wan was supposed to teach you, and Dr. No, because I did not teach you valuation in the second year. So you were supposed to learn the Dcf method, but that Dcf method is more on valuation techniques. But when you want to use it for the purpose of calculating the return on investment or the return on costs, so basically whenever it involves equity and loan, so basically this kind of methodology is very helpful. But the only way is whenever we do this, like I normally do, I will transform this, all the figures here, instead of making it vertical like this, so I change it to horizontal, because investment usually involve horizontal figures. Like this one from year 1 to 25, it turns horizontal. If you do like this, you cannot show the inflow and outflow from the income that you should receive from your investment. But if you use it horizontally, that means you transform all these things to make it horizontal. So basically, towards the end, you should be able to come up with the returns on that particular investment easily. So this is the constant payment mortgage. So any question from you before we go to the next mortgage?
Doctor, can you hear me?
Yeah.
In the case of monthly payment, this one is annual payment, right? So what if about the monthly payment?
Sorry, I cannot hear your voice properly. Say again.
In this case, like shown in the slide, is based on the annual payment.
Yes.
So if monthly payment, we have to use the pattern like first month, second month, third month like this, or we can directly divide by 12 using the annual payment calculator here.
Just divide by 12 because this is the constant payment. Okay, constant payments, that means you won't change on daily basis. So the same things you won't change on monthly basis. But the way that we calculate is basically based on percentage per annum, because the interest rate that will be charged by the financial institution is based on per annum basis. So that means the figure that we get here is 12,750 should also be per annum basis, because the interest rate is per annum. So in order to convert it to monthly basis, we just divide into 12 months, make it the monthly payment. So that's won't give you any difference. But if you use other methods, so we need to use a compound interest formula. So the compound interest formula because the rate will actually be based on 12% per annum. So basically, on monthly basis, it will be slightly different for other methods. But for constant payment mortgage, we just divided by 12, so we should be able to get the monthly repayment. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Okay, any other question? Do you understand whatever we're talking here?
That's Alan. Does this mortgage repayment involve deposit payment?
Deposit payments usually, like based on our discussion before, usually the developer takes about 10%. So that 10% is the cash that should come from our own pocket or from our EPF account. So let's say in this case, 100,000 is the value of property. If we pay deposit, which is 10%, that means we have to deduct 30,000. So your calculation here is not for 100,000 anymore. Your calculation here should be based on 70,000 instead of 100,000, because your payments is treated in different way. That's the amounts of money that you have come out with or come out from your own pocket money in order to secure the property that you are purchasing. So that's for payment. But when come to investment, for example, whenever you decide to sell the property in any particular years, like in this case, for example, you decide to sell your unit in year 10, so basically you still have to pay the banks 88,918. You still owe the bank 88,000. But when you talk about the calculation on the return, if you sell in year 10, apart from deducting the necessary costs, so you can also include the down payment you have paid, because it is also part of the cost. So 88,000 is basically the amounts that you still borrow the bank. You must pay this, and then the 10,000 from your own pocket money is also the cost. So basically you have to plus another 10,000 ringgit here, and another 30,000 ringgit here. So let's say if the price increase to 200,000 in year 10, that means 100% increase from the year that you purchased, then you should be able to make a profit. But if the price remain 100,000 up to 10 years, it is possible if the market is not so good like now because of COVID. And then for the next few years, obviously the market won't increase that fast. So basically, if you keep for the next 10 years, like this case, the price of property won't change that much. So let's say it increase only 150,000 or 130,000. So let's say 130,000 in year 10, that is the value of your property. But the amount to borrow is 100,000 here. So basically, the profit that you should make here is 130,000 just now. 130,000. You deduct 89,000 here. So 130,000, you deduct 89,000 plus 10,000, so basically 99,000. 99,000, so almost 100,000 already here. And then 130,000 deduct 100,000, so the profit that you make is basically 30,000. So that is the gross profit. But if you want to calculate the true profit, so the 30,000 just now, you have to deduct how much interest that you have been paying from year 1 to year 10. Year 1 to year 10. If this amount is less than that you have just now, so that means that's the profit that you make. But if this amount is higher than the 30,000 gross you made just now, that means you are losing money in real situation. But normally, people don't care about this. They try to come up with the figure here in year 10 after they deduct the capital outstanding plus the deposit. So that balance is considered as the profit that they make throughout these 10 years. So if you are not aware of the interest that we have been paying, or we already paid from year 1 to year 10, so basically we are not a good investor. We got a little bit here, 30,000, but we are also losing, which we do not calculate for the interest. So basically that's how we calculate the return on the house that we purchased. That's why it is not advisable to sell at the beginnings, the first few years after we started. For example, here, I've discussed before, in year 3, we still have 98,000, only 2,000 different. Not in year 3, only 2,000 different. From 100,000, the capital we still have in year 3, 98,000. And then let's say if the price or the value of property increase, within 3 years, only 5% or 10%, let's say 10%, it will become 110,000 here. So 110,000, deduct 98,000. So basically, we only have about 12,000 only profit. That 12,000 we have to deduct all the expenses, lawyer fees, valuation fees, stamp duty, etc. And it's also subject to real property gains tax. Not during this COVID, not for the budget 22, but under normal budget, we still have to pay real property gains tax. And then basically, we do not make any money. We may have to come up with our own pocket money to pay the lawyer fees and stamp duty. So, okay, Iwan?
Thank you.
Okay. So now to constant amortization mortgage. So for constant amortization mortgage, so like just now we talk about constant payment mortgage. So basically the payment is constant. But now we talk about a constant amortization mortgage. So the amortization is constant. So amortization referred to the payments of capital. Forget about the interest. So the payment of the capital must be constant. So like in this case, we borrow 100,000. So we use the same figures here, 25 years for the mortgage period, and then 12% for the interest rate. So basically 100,000 divided by 25 years. So their amortization per year will be 4,000 ringgit. So this 4,000 ringgit will actually constant. It won't change for the next 25 years. Just now you have seen the annual payment is constant, 12,750 throughout the 25 years period. But now you see the amortization is constant, which is 4,000 for the next 25 years. And then towards the end of the 25 years, you should be able to calculate the total loan that have been amortized is 100,000 ringgit, which is here. So this is what the banks want. I give you 100,000, I must get back 100,000. For the interest, I'm okay. Because if you default, then we just calculate up to the date that you default. The balance of the interest here, we won't charge anything. Because it's just our profit. That's from the financial institution points of view. So, constant amortization mortgage, that means the principal or the outstanding principal will remain constant for the next 25 years. So now we try to calculate based on what we have here, the example here. So in year 1, we have 100,000. Excuse me. So we have 100,000 in year 1. And then we amortize 4,000 ringgit. And then the interest that we pay still 12% of 100,000, so 12,000. So the annual payments that we have to pay is 4,000 plus 12,000, which is 16,000. So if you can recall the diagram that we have seen last week, it shows us that for constant amortization mortgage, you can see the line look like this, straight from the top left hand corner to the right of the bottom right hand corner. So the first payment is higher than the constant payment mortgage. So now we have 16,000. Of course, it is higher than 12,750 that we have seen under the constant payment mortgage. So because we have to pay 4,000 for amortization and then the interest of 12,000, so basically we have 16,000 here, and then in year 2 the balance will be the same like the constant payment mortgage that we have seen just now. So 100,000 deduct 4,000, so we have 96,000. So 96,000 in year 2, we still pay a constant amortization, which is 4,000, and then the balance, and then the interest that we charge is 12% on 96,000. It will become 11,520. So 11,520 plus 4,000. So basically, this is the amounts that we had to pay in year 2. So still higher than the constant payment mortgage, which is 12,750. The process will continue. In year 3, we have 92,000, and then we still charge like this until the end. So when come to year 25, if the outstanding principal is 4,000, and then the loan amortization is also 4,000, that means our calculation is correct. So we can see here, as compared to 12,750, only in year 8, the line of constant amortization mortgage will actually cross the line for constant payment mortgage only after year 8. So that means for the first 8 years, if you apply for constant amortization mortgage, for the first 8 years, you have to pay higher than the constant payment mortgage. So all in all, the annual payments that we actually have to pay to the financial institution is 256,000. 256,000 as compared to the loan amortization, which is fixed, and then the balance is 156,000. So this is the interest that the bank will actually charge. So as compared to the constant payment mortgage just now, in terms of interest, we have to pay much higher for the interest if we use constant payment mortgage. And then the total payment, of course, will be higher as well. So the banks will actually make about 218,000 or 219,000 interest here. But here, the bank will only make 156,000. So in that sense, we could see that the constant amortization mortgage is better, money-wise, because we only pay 156,000 for the interest. However, it depends on the purpose of having the mortgage for. If you are the first-time house buyers, maybe this one is good for you. But if you are an investor, you are purchasing the second unit or third unit or fourth unit or even more than that, then you have to compare in terms of your age, your income, the company that you are working with, whether good company or bad companies, we don't know. But CITES and Secrets will actually tell us based on the record, they have everything, and then we calculate the net income that we have per month, and then we can actually convert it to the debt service ratio. So we learn this on the debt service ratio later on. So basically based on that, it will actually tell you which mortgage is the best for you. So money-wise, like I said, based on the same example, we should be able to tell or to see that CAM is better, but not necessarily the case. Even we pay 150,000, but if you want to sell in year 10, for example, so basically you have to compare the figure here as compared to the constant payment mortgage, and then we should be able to make a good decision. So anything to ask on the constant amortization mortgage?
Doctor, I just want to know, so who decides which type of mortgage repayments we conduct? Is it available in all the financial institutions?
Like I said before, we have more than 163 products, mortgage products that are available in the market. So basically, although we have more than 160 products, but the concept, like I said just now, is the same. The bank will chase you if you run away because of default or whatever, breach of contract, etc. So if you run away, you do not pay, the bank will chase you in order to get back the capital outstanding that we are supposed to pay them. So that is the basic mortgage concept, plus the interest fees actually depend on up to the years that you are actually defaulting at that point of time. Otherwise, we do not have, after defaulting, we do not have to pay any interest. So basically that's a mortgage concept. So when it comes to the 160 products, there will be a mixed approaches that they are offering. So like you asked me just now, who determine? So basically you have to look at the mortgage on offer. So it can be under constant amortization mortgage, or it can be under constant payment mortgage. But if you ask the banks, can I get a constant amortization mortgage? They won't understand. They will never tell you. Even if you see the manager there, they won't understand. But it's all based on the products they have. They will explain about their products only without knowing the concept behind it. For example, we have Flexi Mortgage, the name given by CIMB, or Semi-Flexi Mortgage, the name given by Maybank, or interest-only mortgage. Depends on the new projects. Some panel bank will give us this. So it's just a matter of name. For example, the constant payment mortgage, which is the normal way that we will be offered if we approach financial institution, but depend on how flexi it is, and also depends on the way that we have to pay. If we have to pay higher than constant payment mortgage like we have learned just now. So basically, it should fall under the constant amortization mortgage. It's just the name given for the purpose of understanding how the mortgage calculation works. So like now, for example, I'm trying to come up with a new mortgage model. That's why I'm looking for someone to help me to do a PhD under me at everything will be paid for it 100% under sponsorship, and I will guide how to do a PhD, and at the same time I will get the result to come up with the new mortgage products to be used by Bank Negara Malaysia. But I still couldn't find anyone to help me on this, because I need someone with PNGK or CGPA more than 3.7 in order to register for PhD, and then I'm paying his or her salary from my grant, the grant that I obtained for this purpose for 3 years. So I'm paying about 2,000 ringgit per month for the salary to help me to develop a new mortgage product. So of course under my direction, just do analysis, etc. But I still couldn't find, because most of the applicants are not that good in terms of the knowledge to come up with these mortgage products, because they never learn finance, especially those who come from other universities in Malaysia. So when I ask them, they don't know at all about the concept of mortgage. So how to help me? And then some of them who are good, but their CGPA is less than 3.7, so they cannot register for PhD in They must register for master first, which normally takes 2 years, and then PhD is another 2 years, so 4 years altogether. But if they register under PhD, they will go straight for 3 years PhD study. So it's good for people who are still young, fresh graduate, that fulfill the criteria that I need. Then, because I already produce good students based on my previous grant, I already produced a few. By paying the monthly salary, and at the same time they get the qualification. So at younger age, for PhD, not yet even produced, but for masters, yes. They come join me, help me come up with the thesis. That thesis come from the analysis, and that is the result for my research as well as the result for the master. So the same thing here. The result that I expect is for my grant result, and then the result for his or her PhD as well, which is good. So for you, once you graduate, especially during this pandemic, because the effects of the pandemic will only be seen in 2 years' time, because we expect that we get a COVID vaccine by next year. So basically, we can only see the effects after that. I'm sure that now the price is dropping, basically. Even before the COVID, the trend's already that way already. So by 2020, close the loops, and then takes about another 2 years from the date that we have COVID, and we have vaccine, which is expected to be at the end of next year. So once you graduate, if you can grab this kind of opportunity to do your PhD at younger age, and just go ahead with it. once you get your PhD, so your name will be better in the market, regardless whether you want to work with a corporate or you want to set up your own company, do your own business. But once you carry a doctors at the front of your name, it will be much better for you because you're still young. So some people, they say, I just want to gain experience first. It's also good if you have that plan. But if you have opportunity, when someone offer you, or someone have a grant like what I have now, just go ahead with it. And then after 3 years, 3 years is not long. You also yourself, you have been in UM for 3 years, but you still do not recognize me. If I do not teach you finance, how I'll get angry when you do not do your tutorial. So for the last 3 years, you did not know me. But now you know that. Even you do not know personally, but in theory, you know my style already. I also know you. The way that you keep quiet when I ask you doesn't mean that you understand everything. Because based on the assessment, the test, you couldn't do it. So be careful for the second test. The first test proved that you couldn't do it. Not all. You can think of yourself. Do not think that you answer the question. If I say illustrate, that means you have to illustrate, not to cut and paste everything. Explaining everything. You are explaining. You are not illustrating. By right, I'm not supposed to give you any marks because you did not answer the question. But I'm not that cruel. I will still consider. But of course, I cannot give you better marks. But I do not give you 0. And for those who submitted after the time period given, so basically you are also spoiling yourself. You do not follow the instruction. So I'm not going to repeat whatever I have told you just now, at the beginnings, because I was very frustrated. So at least when I ask you now, at least, because we have so many students here, if one or two of you ask me, then I'll be very happy. Otherwise, I feel very down because I'm helping you, but you do not help your own self. Okay, so back to the question just now. It depends on what you are, the purpose of getting the mortgage. So if you approach the bank, do not go and ask constant amortization mortgage or constant payment mortgage or graduated payment mortgage, but you can ask something like, okay, use constant payment mortgage as a base. Like I said just now, because even financial calculator, we use constant payment mortgage only to calculate the mortgage. So your base must be on CPM, constant payment mortgage. And then you can ask, let's say you want to borrow 500,000 from the bank, and then the banks will definitely come out the first thing, which the constant payment mortgage first. Okay, the bank said, based on here, based on your age, you are entitled for 35 years mortgage. And now during the COVID-19, the government has reduced, the government has reduced the rate to 3% only. So based on 3% and 35 years and your income eligibility, so now you have to pay 2,000 ringgit per month for this kind of houses. So 2,000 per month is usually now 3% is about for the price of 600,000 more or less. So now you are entitled to 600,000 by paying 2,000 ringgit per month. That based on the constant payment mortgage. And then you could ask the bank, okay, I'm working, in a big company and has been confirmed listed company. That means the company really absorbed me as one of the key personnel, and then my income is secure, although it is still low here, and I'm eligible to pay 2,000 ringgit per month. But because I have my own future planning, so basically I need a bigger house because I want to get married. I want to have 4 wives, for example, and I want to have 20 kids. So I should plan from now. It's a joke, okay? Don't take it seriously. So based on my planning now, I want to have a bigger house. The price of the house is this much, and then based on this, I think I won't be able to pay much now, but 2,000 obviously I can pay. But if you calculate based on the price of the property, which is, for example, 1 million, instead of 600,000 just now, I want to purchase property of 1 million, and then the bank comes up with the monthly payments of 1 million, about 4,500. So 4,500, he said, I cannot afford now, but because I'm working with good company, and then you have to come up with evidence to convince the bank. You are working with a good company, and then your income is secure, so the company is doing well. That's right. We should know all the companies in the market now. So basically, the banks may consider you with higher payment of 5,000 per month, even you are not eligible for it at the beginnings. But the bank still can consider based on the evidence you have given. So in this case, they only consider the graduated payment mortgage or the constant payment mortgage. Graduated payment mortgage also can. So that's the way that it works. You cannot go and ask constant amortization. I want constant amortization mortgage because my lecturer gila a bit, you know. I don't know what he's talking about. I'm a good student, but my lecturer is not a good lecturer. So he taught me something nonsense. I don't know what he's talking about, constant amortization mortgage, graduated permanent mortgage. But you, the bank, never offer. So my lecturer no good. So I want you, as a manager, to tell me. And then if the manager also cannot tell you, constant amortization mortgage and graduated permanent mortgage, and then you shoot your manager afterward. You're even more bothered than my lecturer. I'm still a good person. So do not go and ask for constant amortization mortgage or graduated payment mortgage or even constant payment mortgage. You cannot say, you say constant payment mortgage, the bank won't understand. But if you say, I want a mortgage that have a fixed repayment on monthly basis, so that means it only refers to constant payment mortgage. Because they have so many products, and all the products based on your requirement. If you are the first-time house buyers with ordinary income, working with an ordinary company, so basically they will offer you the constant payment mortgage, definitely. But under different circumstances, like I said just now, so you can go for other products. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
So that is constant amortization mortgage. Now it's what time? We only have about 8 more minutes. Okay, never mind. We cannot finish today. We'll finish tomorrow. And then please at least prepare the tutorial question. Otherwise, you'll get my comment again, and then you don't like me after that. Asyik berlatih aja orang tua ni. Nak belajar pun tak senang. That's my fault. Let me berlatih in order to help you. You want to listen or not, it's okay. You don't want to listen, you just go away. Nobody disturb you to go. You want to listen from this bad lecturer, you just listen. So this is the graduated payment mortgage. I think this is the last one we can talk. We don't have time. So for graduated payment mortgage, we have 100,000, 25 years, 12%. So if you can recall the diagram of graduated payment mortgage, for the first 5 years or the first 3 years, it look like a staircase. And then when come to the last level of usually year 5, then it will become stagnant or flat until the end of the mortgage period. Just exactly the same like the constant payment mortgage is flat, only differ for the first few years. So if you choose this mortgage, you explain to the financial institution, and the financial institution, if that financial institution have this kind of mortgage, then they will offer you. So they will offer you the gradation rate, like in this case, 7.5%. So what it means by 7.5%? So basically, from year 1, we pay one amount, and then it will increase in year 2 by 75%, and then year 3 another 7.5% based on year 2, and then year 4 another 7.5% based on year 3 figures. So basically 7.5% per annum, and then the graduation period, the example I'm giving here is 3%, but usually you could get 3% or 5%. And then based on here, you can calculate. So 100,000 at the beginning of the mortgage period, and then the same things you have to charge to calculate the interest of 12%. So 12% for the interest. But in terms of annual payment, so the first payments in year 1 is only 400 ringgit per month. So then per year it will become 4,800 ringgit per year. So you have to pay 408,000 ringgit per year. This is the only amount that you can afford for this year. So based on here, the interest is 12,000, but you only pay 4,800. So that means you still have the balance of 702,000 to be paid to the bank. Because the interest rate is 12,000, you only pay 4,800. So 7,200 ringgit, you have to pay to the financial institution. That means you have to borrow. You already borrowed 100,000, but now you need to borrow another 7,200 for year 1. So now it become 1,700, 107,200. So this is the amount in year 2. So in year 2, it has graduated to 7.5%. Now the annual payment will increase to 5,160. So from 5,160, because now the outstanding principal is 107,200, and the interest rate is still 12%. So based on the new amounts you borrow, now you have to pay interest rate 12,864. So the amount you paid this year after 7.5% increase. So basically the balance that you don't have balance, negative balance basically. So the negative balance is minus 7704. So this 7704 will also be included for next year outstanding. So now it will become 114,000. So the process continue until year 5. After year 5, so basically the amount you have to pay is 6410. The interest is 15,835. So basically in year 6, because the graduation period is over and it will become flat, so now it become exactly the same like the constant payment mortgage. From year 6 onward, you have to pay on constant payment. This constant payment will actually be calculated like you calculate under the constant payment mortgage. So towards the end, you see the outstanding principal should equal to the loan amortization, and this is the amounts that you are supposed to pay. So 406,000 as compared to 256,000 and compared to 300 and something thousand. So basically, this is the worst mortgage, but you cannot see that by judging through whatever figure you have here. But basically, what you need to do is to see the purpose of getting the loan, and then some other factors like I mentioned just now. So basically, the concept is you borrow money, and then you re-borrow the balance again, and then up to year 5, you can see that the trend keep increasing until year 5, 131,959, and then in year 6, you will have 1413, and then no more borrowing, extra borrowing, because you have reached year 6 already, and then from here you started to pay the constant payment. So that's how it works. So all in all, you have 406,000 here. So the bank is making about 306,450 ringgit for the interest. Oh, still a lot. So I don't think we can finish today. So for the Remunerative Payment Mortgage, any question? I think we will stop up to here only because you have class after this. Any question on this?
I have a question, but it's not regarding the gradual payment mortgage, because like you said just now, most of the mortgage product in Malaysia, they use the concept the constant payment mortgage, right? CPM. Yes. So, but then in the case of, because in housing finance, the rate actually is vary according to the interest rate. The bank maybe will change from time to time. So even when the rate change, because it's no longer fixed already, right? Is they consider the constant payment mortgage? Is it the concept?
I don't really get it. Can you re-explain again, please?
Because constant payment mortgage, it say like the annual payment, it will be the same throughout the mortgage period. Now and then with fixed interest rate. So this is what the constant payment mortgage tells us, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, but then in Malaysia reality, the mortgage for the housing loan actually is changed from time to time according to the interest rate, right? Like the OPR.
That one is variable. That one is a variable mortgage.
Oh, okay.
One on the variable. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Okay. Any other question?
Doctor, what is the formula in slide 2 used for the last one?
The formula?
1 divided by I plus SF.
Sinking fund. You better try.
1 divided by I plus SF. I don't understand what this formula used for.
You go back to valuation mathematics. I'm using valuation mathematics, okay? You go to valuation mathematics, recall again, try to redo it. If you cannot redo it, then you can ask me. You ask me now, so you know by right, you're supposed to know all the formula already. Okay? Mia? Right. Okay. Any other question? Any other question before we stop? Because we have class after this. So tomorrow, please prepare one tutorial question, the one that we haven't done, because part of the first half of the tutorial slot we will use to finish this lecture. But I think no harm if you prepare 2 questions straight away, because last week we did not have tutorial, and tomorrow we have tutorial. I think the balance